Not gonna fall off the deck this time. I need to rebuild this deck. I have salvage materials. I'm gonna get to this at some point. So we're still with the Canadian Tire Black Panther from Beeman, dual barrels that only use the 22 personally. So a very long story short, when I got it, it was shooting 12, 13 foot-pounds because the hole that they put into the front of the piston to do the detuning was full of debris and gunk and air wasn't going through. Detuning wasn't happening, and I thought I had a unicorn beeman that was shooting 12 foot-pounds, and I was like, well, ain't my fault, you know. Curiosity got the better of me. I ended up going in, filling the detuning hole. What the hell, since it fills up on its own. I cut the spring. I tested it again. See, the thing is, fully plugged the hole, the rifle was now 15 foot-pounds. So when I cut the spring, I brought it back down to 12 foot-pounds again. The way, the power I had when I got it, basically. But done like properly, and it became much more quiet. Then I added a slice of cork right at the end before the transfer port. I did a transfer port through that. I managed to cut down the rest of the power that I needed to make it NoPAL Canadian on some 14.2 grain pellet, 14.3 grain pellet. It's got an average of 465 FPS, which is a pretty good high, you know, factory setting for safe brand companies. You know, like you take a Crossman there, was it the Benjamin Classic that actually had like 460 FPS on the 22. It's not all the air guns that end up having like up to that point. This one has one tuning that's right up there. It's what I would pick also if I was to like hand over responsibly a NoPAL air gun to someone. It would have to be in 465, 475 to be both enjoyable and responsible and safe. But on doing this rifle, I noticed two things. First, there is no top hat at the end of that spring. It's a very good spring actually, but there's a bit of wiggle room in the piston and there's no top hat at the end. And two, this is the hottest day of the year. And three, the spring guide rests in front of the trigger, not at the back of the cylinder. So there's this huge echo chamber here for all that spring noise to bounce into and actually come out of the trigger itself. It's noisy like that. I started thinking because of that space. So to those two issues, here's a piece of spring that I took out. And here's a hose fitting with brass for a garden hose. It's usually a two-part piece. This is just the inside. There's different gauges of that depending on what springs you have, but this beeman actually fits perfectly in this brass hose fitting. So not this kind. I had another one with no threads, making it thinner of a circle here that actually fitted in my piston. Not perfectly, like a sliver of wiggle, but now I have a top hat controlling the end, you know, the bounciness, the wiggle, the noise, whatever the buzz that happens at the end, that I figure those pieces are usually there for. So I thought better something than nothing. And while I was in there, I did two things. The entire back end of this empty space is chock full of cotton balls. You can't see them through, but they're pretty much taking the entire air empty space that in between the pins and the trigger group and all that. It's all stuffed in there. So now the noise stops there. It's got nowhere else to go but to slowly diffuse into this hard packed material. Can't just come flying out all amplified. But the point is that eventually this air gun could go from completely unusable in my backyard to just fine, basically just as good as any other detuned air gun. Even if you use it with their detuning and it works, there's so much spring, the gun smokes, it's really loud, it's just complete overkill for the activity, you know. It's just not even fun to shoot. I'm shooting at an empty target box with some noise dampening, so just focus on the noise of the rifle per se. That's all I'm trying to do, really. Get a good earful. Oh man. Oh. This is not as quiet as my nitro, but I don't feel that this noise gets very far outside of my backyard though. I'm very used to what it used to be. Like every shot I took made me wonder if it was one too many for someone having to listen to it. This is one fold and now a definite other fold of quiet. Everything I did in it took out a bit of noise, but this just made it what I need. Just shy of 500 FPS and as quiet as a spring, at least a spring can be. This is nice. This is nice. Give it a shot. I'm not sure if this, the top hat part did more than the plugging of the cotton balls in the back, or if it's both together. Either or both, I would recommend. Catch you next time.